Now, many marketers think building great brand experiences is all about budgets. If I have a big budget, I can do this. Look at Nike, look at this, look at that. They have such big budgets. But what I found is not necessarily true. Now, I'm going to talk about a campaign called Unstoppable, which was a digital branding campaign for the organization, which transcended not just the products, but also it ultimately led to having a branding impact on the overall brand, the OCBC brand itself.
For a marketing organization is a talent. Can you explain that?
Yes, a passion of mine. I believe it all starts with people. Talent and good talent is always going to be the reason why organizations will have a cutting edge over competition beyond the product and the product offering. It's been a big change and gone are the days of hand-holding talent, pyramid structure of working, three bosses approving.
Yeah.
Those days are getting really, really shorter.
Hello and welcome to the Growth Genius series brought to you by DMA Asia and Infidigit. My name is Shelly and I'm the Country Director Americas at Infidigit. I'm also the founder and director at DMA Asia. In this Growth Genius series, the world's best marketers and business leaders are interviewed about the brands they have worked on, their successful campaign strategies, how they got noticed by their customers, and how they delivered better customer experiences to drive growth. Today, our guest is Cedric Dias. Cedric heads marketing for Bank Jago. Bank Jago is the leading digital bank in Indonesia, designed as a life-centric financial solution that enables consumers to live their lives to the fullest to bring them closer to their dreams. As a marketing lead, Cedric is responsible for all aspects of marketing, from branding to customer acquisition through loyalty, with a goal to making Jago the best bank in Indonesia. Previously, Cedric was the head of digital marketing for OCBC Consumer Bank in Singapore. Prior to that, he led the digital business in Singapore for Havas Media and headed the social media brand Socialize for 4 years. A very warm welcome, Cedric.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, Shelly.
Great. To start with, tell us about your background and how you got started in advertising and direct marketing, particularly your interest in talent.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I'm what you call an accidental marketer, and I found my true calling totally by chance. So when I completed my bachelor's in engineering a long time ago now, I realized that it was not really what I wanted to do, and so opted to go in for my MBA. This was in the late 90s when there was a big finance boom and finance was the talk of the town. And even then, I always thought that I would make for myself at that point in time a career in finance. But as luck would have it, I somehow got hooked onto marketing and took up the marketing course. And since then, it's been all I've done for the last 25 years. In fact, it was my first ever job with Dabur in India, which made me realize that this was the career path for me. The great thing about marketing, and you would have seen this through my career history, is that it does not need you to be in any one sector or industry. And I've used that because I've been in different sectors and different markets for almost all of my career with only repeating one sector twice. So it's really something that I feel that is something I have been able to grow, to learn, and really adopt marketing as my true calling. After I left Dabur, there was opportunity for me to come to Southeast Asia with the Western Union. And that again opened up my eyes to regional marketing and really the great thing about growing brands in multiple markets to multiple target audiences. So this is where I've learned, and I have grown in marketing in this part of the world, which is Southeast Asia, South Asia, for most of my career. Right. Now, besides building brands and organizations in Southeast Asia, I think one of the things we've spoken about is my interest in talent in the organization. Now, my interest in talent was sparked very early on in my career after I came to Singapore, when I was actually enrolled in a mentorship program where I was the mentee in Western Union. And that really got me hooked onto the reason why we need to grow talent and how growing talent is important. Because me being a young talent in a large organization, multinational organization, finding his feet in another country, mentorship played a big role in me being who I am today. So that sparked my initial interest. And where I built on that was in my role at Havas Media, where I started taking up digital. And at that point, digital was literally booming, starting to boom in Southeast Asia. And all I had in my team were a bunch of 20-year-olds, very young, talented, knowing digital, knowing the new technology, but really rough at the edges when it comes to interpersonal skills, dealing with stakeholders and the likes. So that really got me interested. And since then, talent building and organizing structure has been a big passion for me. As part of this, I have been formally teaching digital marketing at various institutions since 2014, and I have been formally and informally mentored over 25 people over the last 10 years or so in Southeast Asia.
That's quite interesting. So let us then break this up into two parts: your role in building brands and growing talent. Starting with brand, considering your experience creating engaging customer experiences, can you please tell us about how a well thought out brand experience can be a significant growth driver?
Yeah, let me start the brand then. Good. I've had the fortune to work across different brands and different life stages across the markets I've worked on, starting with a brand which probably only Indians will know, Lal Dant Manjan at Dabur, which is a very rural focused brand, but a very large brand at that, to Fortune 500 company like Western Union, and then OCBC, which is like the second largest bank in Southeast Asia. And today, Bank Jago, which is a disruptor, but someone which is gathering great attention in its own right because of the way it is positioned in the market. In each case, the objective was to ensure that there are two things which we need to do. One is a differentiated customer experience. The second is to ensure that the customer gets an emotional and the rational benefit from the brand experience. This all starts, I found, across the brands, whether it is a rural brand, whether it is a Fortune 500 brand, it all starts with two things. One, look inside. What is the business challenge you're trying to face? Because even the same brand at different times in its life stage will approach things differently. The second, which is very important, I think this will be no secret to all the marketers out there, customer insight. Using both these, it becomes simple, mind you, not easy, to craft great brand experiences which connect the customer, and also you will find energizes the entire organization because everyone rallies around a good brand within the organization. It gives meaning, it gives trust, and it gives a sense of achievement to all the people within the organization beyond also making a difference to the business. Hence, I've seen once you connect these two and create meaningful experiences, it has a positive impact ultimately on the results very, very easily. Now, many marketers think building great brand experiences is all about budgets. If I have a big budget, I can do this. Look at Nike, look at this, look at that. They have such big budgets. But what I've found is not necessarily true. If you can crack what is a great customer insight built in what your brand stands for, you'll find that this really makes a big impact and ultimately very quickly generates good business results.
So can you give any examples of campaigns that have created these experiences? And what in your mind are the factors that make a difference, which our listeners can take back?
Good question, actually. So I can talk about a few campaigns across the organizations I have worked with at different times. But I will maybe stick to the last 4 or 5 years because I think it's more relevant in terms of the current times on how brands are built and what our listeners can take back, right? So for the first part, let me talk about two examples, one with OCBC and one with Bank Jago. Most of you may not be very familiar with OCBC, but it is what we call a challenger bank. It's a number 2 bank. And as we know, number 2 always has to work much, much harder. So we are not only trying to going after the leading organization, but we're also protecting our turf against competition that's coming in. Because so we have to play two battles, not only go aggressive, but also play defensive a bit. Now, I'm going to talk about a campaign called Unstoppable, which was a digital branding campaign for the organization, which transcended not just the products, but also it ultimately led to having a branding impact on the overall brand, the OCBC brand itself. Now, late 2015s or 2016, 17, around that time, digital was becoming the big thing. Today, of course, digital is everything. But at that point, digital was just increasing, right? And not only OCBC, all the banks, all the institutions were saying, we are digital, we are digital. So how can OCBC in a crowded market stand out, relate to customers, and then have a positive impact on both the branding as well as business metrics? So the challenge was very obvious. Want to stand out in the market? What is the internal, what we were talking about, what is the internal challenge? What do we want to achieve? Have a positive brand experience which is differentiated, and make customers clearly aware why OCBC is better than the others. That's the first one. The second part we realized was, what is the customer insight? And the customer insight we found then was, the world, I won't say it's changing, but customers were evolved to a point where they want to see what is it that keeps us ahead? What is it that makes us different from other people? What is it that helps me achieve my goals and my dreams? Because people want to achieve success quickly. So we came up with this one word branding for our digital banking experience called unstoppable. And it seemed to encompass both what OCBC stands for, what it aspires to be. Second is it also connected to the customers from their aspiration perspective. So it was a very good mix of where the brand and the customers intersect. And we launched this in a way which really connected the customers, which showcased all our products and services. Took real life products, blended it around why it is making the customer unstoppable, and hence OCBC Bank also being unstoppable. And it was a huge success, from whether it gained awareness, from the brand recognition, and most importantly, what I really felt value was the entire organization rallied around it. And we also saw real lifts for each of the products that we featured around that unstoppable umbrella, which made a big difference to the brand. So that's one I'm very, very proud of, because it actually lasted for 2 or 3 years. It was not just a hit and run campaign, but really made a meaningful difference to the brand. The second is more recent. In fact, it's just late last year for Jago, which has a sub-brand called Jago Sharia. Indonesia, as you know, is a Muslim majority country, and Sharia banking is very, very important for many Indonesian Muslims. So Jago, being also a digital disruptor, launched Jago Sharia as one of its digital banking offerings. Now, the challenge was the same. Why should customers consider Jago Sharia for their banking versus the traditional Sharia banking? The second was that we needed to not only connect the customers, but would also explain to customers very clearly that we really adhere to the Sharia principles. Because one of the insight again we found was, customers, the first question they want to know more than the banking benefits, the interest, not interest rate, but whatever you get from the offering is, do you adhere to Sharia principles? And we hit upon again just one term called Alhamdulillah Jago Sharia. Now, the entire insight around here was, whenever Indonesians have something good, whenever something good happens to them, they say Alhamdulillah, which is almost an expression of happiness, of thanks to God, whatever, right? And with that, we had Alhamdulillah Jago Sharia and created this whole campaign around Alhamdulillah moments, where Jago Sharia starts becoming the reason why you say Alhamdulillah in your daily life. And the very aspect of just using the Alhamdulillah started associating us with a true Sharia offering. And we utilized something which was a jingle which was already existing in the market, and used that to play out Alhamdulillah Jago Sharia. And guess what? Within 3 months, the second largest source of awareness was things like Spotify, where we started playing the jingle, because that really caught on. And the association of Jago Sharia with the Sharia banking, with the true Sharia principles, went up by almost 2x. So really hit our goals. So again, you see here, it's about experiences, but really connecting the brand, what it stands for, and a true customer insight of what will connect to them very, very easily. I hope that answers to your question.
Great examples, and this is really very, very insightful. So now let's go to the next part. You have stated that the key driver for a marketing organization is the talent. Can you explain that?
Yes, a passion of mine. I believe it all starts with people. Talent, and good talent, is always going to be the reason why organizations will have a cutting edge over competition beyond the product and the product offering. Product and product offering can be copied, can be over a period of time, can be overtaken, and we have various examples of that. But talent, it's what my belief, which will keep the company ahead. Now, things have changed, and with organizations getting flatter, marketing getting more and more real time, we don't have time to wait for 2 months, 3 months for campaign, and hybrid working. It's made a big change, and gone are the days of hand-holding talent, pyramid structure of working, 3 bosses approving. Yeah. Those days are getting really, really shorter, which means that marketing is going to rely on the ingenuity, the execution capability, and the ability to stand up not only at a leadership level, but at every level in the organization. This means that talent is what is going to make it or make an organization successful. The other big change beyond the what has changed over time with the organization structures and like is the active use of technology. More than even 2 years ago, technology is used very actively when it comes to marketing, from building creatives to media, even customer experience. So the knowledge and application of tech is something that is demanded again across the board as a general need today. In fact, today in my organization or the two organizations I've joined in the past, even when you're an intern, we ask for some basic technology knowledge before you join. At least you must know, for example, Adobe Photoshop. You must know HTML, CSS, something, right? Because without a little bit of technology, it becomes very difficult to work. So you are right. One of the things that you will say, but Cedric, there has been marketing talent all over. Talent marketing is not a new space. There's so much talent. But that's where you have to separate good talent from just talent, because from what we've spoken about, you and we'll talk about it a little later, it's really going to make a difference on how organizations are perceived and how they succeed.
That's very interesting. So how does this play into the structure that you have mentioned?
Yeah, very good question. So the evolving talent landscape, like we spoke about, means the way marketing is going to be delivered and how you maintain and grow your talent is going to change. Now, when I started my career with Dabur more than 25 years ago now, it was very hierarchical. It is, if I look back now, it is not something that can deliver optimal results today. Today's marketing structure is much more matrix in that way, where you have a multiple, what you call a specialist supporting the marketing, core marketing team. People, research, performance, media, digital marketing, marketing technology. So you have a mix of specialists and generalists working together in very flat structures. This will allow for a very different structure from the way it is. And you hear of things called agile, you hear of things called matrix organizations. Now, not everyone can adopt a very similar structure, but I do believe that components of these will have to come together to make organization structures successful. No one size fit all, because even in organizations I have been, that last two also, last three, very different structures, but what works for you. But effectively what's going to happen is that what's not going to stop is this matrix kind of a structure more than very siloed marketing.
Great. So in your mind, what are the guiding principles organizations look for when it comes to talent?
I would break this up into two parts. The first is looking for talent. The second is retaining and growing talent, because both are important. At some point you're looking, but always looking, but also retaining, growing your top talent is also very important.
Yeah.
On the first part, the principles I would look for in my organization, and I would suggest this would definitely be part of whatever organizations are looking for in their talent, would be three things. And this applies across all levels, not just across junior, but middle and even mid to senior levels as well. The first is adaptability, flexibility. Things are changing so much. How do you adapt real time to external factors, internal factors, technology, competition, adaptability, flexibility, because roles are changing. In fact, one of the things I find is people come and tell me today, but boss or Cedric, I was hired for this role. How come you're making me do this? Why is my role done? So adaptability is very important, because just because you're hired for something doesn't mean you're doing that, because needs of the organization are changing. The second, team ethic. We spoke about how everything is going to be mixed, working together, matrix organizations. And with this work from home, hybrid working, talent who are very self-obsessed, it's important that this team ethic is built into the people and they're very comfortable working with people, whether it's online or offline, doesn't matter. To team ethic. And the last one is comfort with technology. I think I've spoken about that before, so I won't really talk about that, but yeah. Now, so that's about best finding talent. When it comes to growing talent, I would think that organizations have a big role to play in giving back to the employees as well. So the first part that comes is always a harmonious working environment. A good working environment is very, very important, because talent across now have very varied demands on how they want to work and the ways of working. So a harmonious working environment is good. Second is sense of responsibility. I've seen that, including myself, including people I work for, they want freedom to do, not to be told, not to be micromanaged. So a sense of responsibility is important. And lastly, growth opportunities. Here, I'm not talking about promotions, but generally genuine learning opportunities, because there's so much of scope available in marketing to work in different roles that people want to see, how can I explore? How can I learn? How can I do certain roles which I'm interested in, not just because I was doing something when I was brought in. So this, of course, assumes that basic needs of salary, all those are met. But definitely these are the three things that employees have to look for new talent. And when they are looking at the existing talent, to look at both what I said, harmonious work environment. The second was sense of responsibility, and of course, growth opportunities.
Wow, great points for marketers, that how they should build a great marketing organization for a very long-term success. So looking ahead, given that how much the world has changed and is changing, how do you think the role of marketing and marketers evolve?
Well, I'll start with marketers and then go to marketing, right? From marketer perspective, it's going to be much more opportunity driven. So when marketers join an organization, they will find that they can and potentially like many different roles within marketing. Earlier, marketing used to be very different, where you could do everything together. But now there are generalist roles, there are specialist roles. And I found that people are very willing to explore roles within the organization. So one thing I will say is that the role of marketers will change in the sense that there will be so many opportunities for them to do, learn, and grow, right? As part of that, they have to be very open-minded. So they will have to come with an open mind and really look at what is possible within the organization and really jump on opportunities when they come, because very rarely do you just given opportunities. You have to look at that. So the role of marketing is going to change because people are going to be moving roles, because it's not about hierarchy as a pyramid anymore. So upward movement is going to become less, but parallel, lateral, self-growth is going to become much more. That's how I see the role of marketers at least evolving. For marketing, I see some things staying same, some things changing. What will stay same is that marketing has always been, has today, and continue being the heart of the organization, because that's what connects the product, the organization to the customer. That I don't see changing. What I do see changing in terms of marketing's role is that it will play probably, and it's already happening now, a much bigger role beyond marketing. So when I say what does it mean? So it means in product, in customer experience, in data. Already we are seeing many organizations changing roles of CMOs to chief growth officer, things like that, or happiness marketer, or whatever we call it, right? It's going beyond just delivering what a traditional marketer used to do. So that will accelerate to the point where it's going to become difficult to marketers to adhere to a single JD. In fact, as I speak now, I'm also seeing job descriptions evolving from just marketing to even investor relations, even things like going to communications, because building the brand, building relations, growing startups, growing all these organizations, it's going to become much more than marketing what it is today, which is why marketers have to be also ready to play those roles and evolve from where they are.
Wow, that's a great points. So this brings us to our last segment. What passion do you follow other than your work to unwind and to get inspired?
Okay, this is a funny question, because I don't think I really unwind to that point, because I've always feel marketing a part of me. And not that I do, I found many others who do it as well, to find this blend, how you blend your work and your life rather than totally separate it. So even on weekends, for example, I do spend an hour or two, but then weekdays also I do find time for myself. So I try to find this blend of, it's not totally separated, but you tend to make work and life together into your full life, right? But coming to what do I do outside of what interests me, two main things I do. First of all, I try to be very active. So I gym, run, do yoga, even play football once a week, right? So very active on one part. And the other part, totally non-active. So totally spending time with friends, family, just chilling, just relaxing. So two parts. One helps me to really de-stress, just get my body, all that energy going. The second is totally letting the mind cool down and relax. Beyond that, if I find some time in the middle, I do try to read. So reading is another thing which probably my generation has done quite a lot. I still try to finish a couple of books a month. But to be fair, lately it's becoming lesser and lesser. But yeah, so that's what I do. I try to be very active. I really spend a lot of time exercising, but also relaxing with friends if possible.
Thank you so much for sharing. So how can our viewers find you and connect with you?
I'm based out of Singapore. So if anybody's passing by Singapore, more than happy to spend time over coffee, give me a buzz, more than happy to meet. I usually work from home, so a bit flexible on my work in that sense. Other than that, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. More than happy to connect. Any questions you have, like I said, I believe in mentorship. I believe in sharing. I also believe in learning. So happy to learn from whoever is out there, share my experiences, and have good conversations. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Cedric Dias. You'll find it very easily. And and then we can take it from there.
Great. Thank you so much, Cedric, for your time and great insights today.
Thanks, Shelly. You have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. To all our viewers, thanks for listening, and please subscribe to this channel. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help and support this podcast, please share it with your friends, post about it on social media, leave a rating and review. I'll see you next time with a new speaker. Till then, peace.